Who will win the AFC North? The Cleveland Browns, the Cincinnati Bengals, the Pittsburgh Steelers, or the Baltimore Ravens? In this video, I'm going to break down each team, give you the strengths, the weaknesses, and their argument to win the AFC North this season in 2021. Before I determine who will win the AFC North, make sure that you do spike that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more Bottom Line View NFL content just like this. And also let me know in the comment section below who you think will win the AFC North. The Browns, the Ravens, the Steelers, or the Bengals? Let's kick off the AFC North debate with the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals are definitely the underdog to win this division in 2021. But crazier things have happened. The Bengals certainly have a little bit of hope now. Joe Burrow is back, hopefully healthy. They have arguably the most weapons of any team in this division with T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, Joe Mixon. They can spread them and shred them. But the question is, will Joe Burrow have protection? Will he have time? And will he have confidence to step up and deliver throws after this knee injury? I don't remember a time in recent history where a quarterback has been put under a microscope to this level coming off of an ACL injury. A lot of quarterbacks have had ACL injuries, including the GOAT Tom Brady, and they've come back and they've been just fine. With Joe Burrow, it feels like people are really nitpicking him and suggesting that he won't play that well this year. Maybe he'll be a little rusty. Maybe it'll take him a little bit of time, seeing as how he didn't complete his rookie season and he's still in his rookie phase. But I do believe Joe Burrow will have a good year this year. I do believe we'll see strides forward for Joe Burrow this season. And I do believe we will see a guy that will be a franchise quarterback in 2021. I do definitely have my questions about the offensive line. I think it might be a little bit better because I think Jonah Williams and Riley Reiff are a solid foundation at tackle. But certainly there are questions on the interior when it comes to protecting and allowing Joe Burrow to step up comfortably with that knee, because the interior pressure is just as important, if not more important, to that knee than the actual edge protection provided by the tackles. Either way, I do see better depth. I do see overall better offensive line play in the future of the Bengals, including a new offensive line coach, which I think will certainly help. I think it might be the year for Joe Mixon to have his best season of his career thus far. We saw Giovanni Bernard leave this offseason and take all his receptions with him. That means that Joe Mixon is going to be a 3-down back for really the first time in his career, catching balls out of the backfield with consistency, running routes with consistency, and showing off his vision, his quickness, and his great feet that he is known for. He should be healthy. He should be ready to go, and I believe Joe Mixon could have a real big year. He might be the engine of this offense if they're going to be successful, especially early in the year as Joe Burrow is getting back and as Jamar Chase is adjusting to the NFL level. Overall, though, I see a good offense. Their offense isn't really the problem. Their offense isn't really the issue. I think their offense might be the reason why they're better than people expect if Joe Burrow can really elevate this team. We really don't know how good this team is with Joe Burrow at the helm. Defensively is where I'm concerned somewhat. I think the defense, secondary-wise, not bad. Certainly could be worse. I think the cornerback position is fairly deep. They don't have a lot of superstars, but Chidobe Awuzie, Trey Waynes, and then now Mike Hilton at the nickel spot is a pretty good foundation and a pretty good trio overall. Jesse Bates is a fantastic free safety, arguably the best in the league, and Von Bell is a slept-on strong safety. But they don't have like a Ramsey. They don't have like an Alexander, a Gilmore, a Howard, a Humphrey. They don't have that on their team, but pretty good nonetheless, and I do think Hilton will be a big upgrade for them, and arguably Awuzie isn't a bad replacement for William Jackson, who certainly that number one corner is missing from this team and this roster. But I think they can get it done in the back end. I more question the front seven. I see big holes still at the linebacker level. I still don't know if they have really addressed that the way that they should have. And I do think that's going to be one of the key weaknesses to this defense and this team. The front seven, I'm really honestly just worried about the depth overall. I think the front four, the starting front four, is solid. You've got Hubbard, who you just paid. I think he's a solid player all around. Not great, but solid. You let Carl Lawson walk. You don't have Geno Atkins anymore. Carlos Dunlap is gone, of course. But Trey Hendrickson, pretty good pass rusher. Nice compliment to Sam Hubbard in his all-around game. Ogunjobi is a nice compliment to DJ Reader, who you'll see back in the lineup this year. So I think the front four is solid, but I just don't see the depth. Like, where are these extra guys, like that third D tackle, the fourth D tackle, the third edge player, the fourth edge player? I would like to see that extra layer of depth that the Bengals have kind of become known for, right? Carl Lawson was a guy that came off the bench for you. That no longer exists with the Bengals on defense. So I think the Bengals defense is not great, and their offense is going to have to carry this team to victories. I'm just not sure if they're ready to do that. The Bengals feel to me more like a team that is a year away. I also really question more than anything their coaching. I am not a Zach Taylor guy. I am not necessarily in love with their defensive scheme. I feel they might have to go in a different direction before they can go in an upward direction with this franchise and with this team with Joe Burrow at quarterback. So this year, 2021, is not the year for you to win the AFC North, but it could be soon. Could be sooner than we think. The next team is the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns had their best season in a very long time in 2021. Baker Mayfield is pretty much a superhero for this franchise now. This team is absolutely loaded. You could make an argument that the Cleveland Browns are the most talented roster in the AFC, period. You could certainly argue that. They have arguably the best offensive line, at least the best offensive line from a year ago. Across the board, fantastic players. I'd call 4 out of the 5 Pro Bowl caliber players and starters. Nick Chubb is arguably the best pure runner in football. Kareem Hunt is the best backup running back in the NFL, an excellent pass catcher, and can replace Chubb if something happens to Chubb fairly well. Austin Hooper is slept on. They've got a plethora of tight ends to throw the ball to. Odell Beckham Jr. is back, and I expect him to have his best year ever in Cleveland. I think he's rejuvenated. I like how he stayed in his own lane this offseason and is all focused on football. I think he's going to be back and better than ever. You have Jarvis Landry, who's now a season removed from that hip surgery. I think that's going to help him a lot, and I think he'll kind of come back into form the way that he looked in 2019. And then you have guys like Donovan Peoples-Jones, Higgins. I really like Donovan Peoples-Jones, by the way. I think he might have a big year this year as a complement piece to this offense. So overall, this offense could be top 5, could be top 3. It might not be the best, but it's very well-rounded. It works with play action well. Stefanski has an excellent scheme. We saw Mayfield was able to pick people apart, just dropping back and throwing the ball at the end of the year, and Baker could really be that guy to elevate this unit to the next level with his second year in this system. Love the offense. Defensively is where the questions lie. I have no questions about the offense. The only real question I have about the offense is, okay, how good does Odell look back this year? How does that connection work? Because that's the X factor of the team. It truly is. Odell and Baker, that connection, if they can really connect, this is a Super Bowl team, right? The defense, they're good on paper. I just don't know how good they are in real life. I really don't. How good is Jadeveon Clowney as your number 2 D-end, as that complement piece to Myles Garrett? Because you really need that piece. Olivier Vernon was an underrated player for you. I'm not sure if he'll ever be back on the Browns. I would like to see them re-sign him at some point. He's still a free agent after all. But Jadeveon Clowney is a pretty similar player. Like, he's good versus the run. He sets the edge. He's athletic. He can create pressure, but it's the motivation of Jadeveon Clowney. It's the consistency with Jadeveon Clowney. It's the injuries with Jadeveon Clowney. It's the day in, day out question marks of him. And I'm not completely sold on that. I think Andrew Billings is one of the most slept on additions to this team. Yes, I said addition because he was out last year. He's a big addition for you in the middle. I think you arguably got an upgrade in Malik Jackson over Sheldon Richardson. Linebackers are probably better now. Of course, you took one of the top linebackers in the draft with J.O.K., who could be a difference maker for you. And you upgraded as well at linebacker with Anthony Walker from the Indianapolis Colts, who's just a solid starting linebacker, which honestly you guys haven't had much of over the past couple of years. John Johnson's a huge upgrade at safety, one of the best communicators, one of the best leaders in a secondary in the NFL. Denzel Ward's elite. I think Greedy Williams could be back this year and play well. Troy Hill at the nickel position is a stud. You've got a lot of good players on this defense. It's putting the pieces together. Hopefully a well-rounded team this year, because I felt like last year it was mostly on the back of their offense possessing the football and scoring a lot of points and keeping the other offense on the sideline. If this defense can actually take the step forward to a close to top 10 unit, they'll definitely win this division. There's no question. That is how good they can be. But certainly the Browns have pressure this year, pressure they haven't ever faced before, and that could leave it open to discussion. So let's get to the other teams before I decide whether the Browns are the winner of the North. We've got the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers were a team that completely fell apart last year down the stretch. Big Ben Roethlisberger looks like his arm is pretty live during preseason. I mean, he was ripping it a few times, I saw. Big Ben, certainly a question mark for this team, but also certainly could be one of the strengths of this team. He definitely is a Hall of Famer. He definitely is one of the greatest of his generation. Does he have one more great season left is the question. The offensive line will have a lot to do with it. If they can protect him, allow him to buy time, allow him to do what Big Ben does, then he'll probably be pretty productive, because I still think he has an arm to him. So I think Big Ben can still play. I'm not sure that he is a top 15, top 10 quarterback, but as long as he can be within the top half conversation, even the top 20, this team has a chance to be in the playoff convo. If he can be around the top 10, then we're talking about a team that could potentially win this division for sure. They've got the targets, they've got the receivers, Juju in the slot, who I'm not a huge fan of, but he's a productive player. I think Deontay Johnson and Chase Claypool could really be the breakout difference maker type players. They need one of these guys to become a true elite player, and then maybe you can win this division. I like the additions at tight end. I think it makes you more multiple here. Najee Harris at least gives you a talent at running back that you can rely on now, and he could be a huge difference maker if the offensive line can find him holes, because he can be an explosive difference maker there. So overall, the offense, I'm not in love with. I think they still need work with this new scheme. I need to see it on the field before I believe it, but they have the weaponry to be explosive, to be a team that puts up points, but I need to see consistency. I need to see more balance. I need to see more belief. I need to see more usage in terms of things like play action and motion. I want to see that more in this offense. If they can do that and have a couple of their younger players step up and break out, then this offense could provide their defense, which has honestly carried this team the last couple of years, to a division crown. Defensively, I don't think they are quite as good or talented as they've been the last 2 years. I just look at losing Bud Dupree, losing Steven Nelson, losing Mike Hilton. Those are losses that I think will hurt this team. But they are still one of the best fronts in the NFL. TJ Watt on the edge, the best edge player in the league, bringing in a Joe Schobert at linebacker to complement Devin Bush, as Devin Bush plays more near the line of scrimmage, utilizes his athleticism. Joe Schobert can be that cover guy behind him. Cameron Hayward, Stephon Tuitt are absolute beast studs and monsters. And then you have Melvin Ingram and Alex Highsmith, which will combine to be a nice little edge duo on that side of things, as you would expect TJ Watt to play a majority of snaps on his side. So that front is really, really talented, has a little bit of everything, and I do believe Mike Tomlin always pieces together a very good pass rush, so I think that will happen once again. The secondary is a concern. The secondary is a question mark. Can Sutton step up? Who will be that difference maker at the nickel position and take over for Mike Hilton, which might be the biggest question mark on this entire starting roster. But you do have Minkah Fitzpatrick. I think Edmonds has taken strides forward. I think this team is consistent. The coaching is solid. I think Mike Tomlin is a good head coach. I do have some concerns over the coordinator positions, but the Steelers were a really good team at the beginning of last year. If they can find where they were deficient and improve those areas, they could maybe be more consistent across the board. They won't face quite the cupcake schedule they did a year ago, but they should still be competitive and fight for this division because after all, they have Big Ben, they have Mike Tomlin, and they are the Pittsburgh Steelers. Lastly, the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson is going to have one of his best seasons he's ever had for them to win this division. Lamar Jackson simply doesn't have the talent around him that he's had the last couple of seasons. It's a far cry from whatever it was, 11, 12 Pro Bowlers in 2019. They still have some of their foundational pieces. Stanley at left tackle. They have Mark Andrews at tight end. They do have a productive rushing attack and running backs behind Lamar Jackson. They do have the corners and the secondary that they've had the last few years with Marcus Peters, Marlon Humphrey, and Jimmy Smith and all these different players and matchup tools that they utilize. I do have my concerns over some of their losses and their direction of this team. I think Kevin Zeitler could be helpful to the offensive line and really help this run game, help this protection for Lamar up front, allow him a bit more time. He's so elusive, he can make things happen. I really need to see these receivers develop and gain chemistry with Lamar and elevate Lamar's passing game and passing consistency. I think Lamar is a better passer than he gets credit for. I think he's more accurate than he gets credit for, but it's very hard to be a productive passer when you don't have many guys that separate, that get open, and it's hard when it's such a simplistic and vanilla offense. And while Lamar is certainly not Aaron Rodgers in that regard, he is better than he's given credit for. If Rashad Bateman can develop into a number one target, if Sammy Watkins can stay somewhat healthy, I think they can have a much better passing attack than they've had in recent years. Nick Boyle is a big addition. Can't forget him back to this team. So this offense has the potential to be better than they were last year. But it also is already concerning me that J.K. Dobbins is hurt, that Bateman is hurt, that Watkins is consistently injured. These guys are already banged up. It is very concerning to me. And I don't know if they're going to be able to withstand these injuries with a lack of overall explosive depth behind them. Defensively, you're missing a Matthew Judon, who I think was a better player than Ravens fans realize for you. And I do think overall, this front seven has more question marks than they've had in a couple seasons. But they've got a strong interior D-line. They've got a variety of different edge players that they can throw in there. I think their defense will still be top 10. I don't think they'll be quite top 5. They won't be quite dominant, but they'll still be good under Don Martindale because that's what he does. I think the ceiling of this team will be determined by the pass catchers, and I just don't know what to expect. So those are the 4 teams in the AFC North. That is my breakdown for every team. Each team has strengths. Each team has weaknesses. Each team has question marks. Now, who do I think will win the AFC North? Ultimately, the team with the least amount of question marks is the Cleveland Browns. I think the Cleveland Browns are the best team in this division. I think they're the most talented team in this division. They have the best roster in this division. I don't think they have the best quarterback. I would give that to Lamar Jackson. I don't think they have the best defense. I think that's between the Steelers and the Ravens, but I do think they have the best offense pretty easily, and I do think they're the most well-rounded team overall. I could see any of the Steelers, Ravens, or Browns winning this division. I could see all 3 of them making the playoffs, but I think at the end of the day, the Browns are the superior team in this division. They should be the team in the Super Bowl contender situation conversation. I don't see the Ravens being as good as they've been the last 2 years. And I do have major questions about the Steelers, Big Ben, and their overall team this year. So I'm going with the Cleveland Browns to win the AFC North in 2021. Let me know if you agree in the comment section below. It's Mitch. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Peace.